And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji commences tonight's satsang with the Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called The Grace of Guru. When the sky is filled with dark rumbling clouds, and your road must cross the waters of tides of misery, the golden bridge of hope awaits for you in the grace of Guru. When the fever of distractions race through the mind and whirl like the wind of autumn leaves, suddenly you feel the lotus hand of Guru touching your heart. His smile comes like the glowing morning sun, bringing new drops of joy to your desperate, holy heart. Melting pride and vanity, like the eyes extends to you the grace of truth. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji in Miami, Florida. Today is April the 22nd, 2020, Wednesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 234. And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji.
Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatītam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Upsam Prakarana, section 74 continues, giving insight into the role of asanga, absolute detachment from the world, that puts an end to grief, in brief. Profound insight in the state of enlightenment is being presented to you. Established in the self, a sage, though afflicted and tortured in the world, is inwardly unaffected. Though seeing his body perish, he remains united with the imperishable self. This is the definition of success in life. Body-based reality of the world, that's like a long dream. Whether you have short dream or long dream, dream is not reality. In enlightened state, you have complete awareness, complete revelation that I am not the body. When I am talking about body, I am referring to three bodies: physical, subtle, causal. So even while you are existing in the world, that attainment has become possible for you, that I am not the body and I am not going back into the body anymore. That state, that's called Jivan Mukti, liberation in life. And that's the goal of every soul. What is important to understand is that every spiritual seeker looks for a quick resolution to worldly problems. But shocking news, worldly problems will never go away. Because they relate to the world of your dream. As long as the dream continues, you can have a state of awareness. Suppose you are dreaming and at the same time you are aware it is a dream. Being aware it is a dream makes the dream like a leela, like a sport. No matter how things happen in the dream, gaining, losing, that's called sport. You gain it, still you are in the sport. Lose it, still fun. That's why you go into a sport. I'm not talking about sport. So, from his deeper point of view, he has nothing to do with the dream. The dream is complete illusion. But from dream state point of view, things will continue. From a relative point of view, sage's personality will continue to operate just like the bodies of anybody else. His hair will also turn grey. I'm joking. He will also age, and he will have all the bodily problems. Put it more in a technical way, precision way, to understand the role of karma. Karma comes in 3 grades: sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, kriyaman karma. Sanchit karma, accumulated storehouse. Your unconscious contains sanchit karma, deep unconscious, chitta. Out of sanchit karma, only a little pinch brings about your prarabdha karma. So you are not experiencing all the karmas that are still waiting. You are experiencing only a little bit, a little portion of your sanchit karma. And that prarabdha karma determines jati, ayu and bhoga. Jati, in which class you are going to be born. Ayu, how long will you live? Bhoga, what type of experiences you will have. Experiences of pleasure and pain. All together is called bhoga. And kriyaman karma, while you live your life backed up by prarabdha, your self-effort is always before you. That's a specialty in human embodiment. That's not a specialty in other embodiments. As a human being, you are not completely living a life of instinct. There comes in the opportunity for self-effort. Self-effort can modify your previous, from sanchit karma, from prarabdha karma, certain karmas, say for example, karma for putting you in suffering for say a month, 2 or even 6 years. But your purushartha can utilize that karma in a positive way or a negative way. Even adversity, and every adversity is due to a negative karma. But your self-effort puts the adversity as an austerity. So your prarabdha karma gives you a general outline of what your life is capable of doing, your potentiality behind your life. But just like a writer puts down the plot for the story first. But when he starts working upon the plot, many new things open up. He planned for writing a pathetic book, but he ends up making it a comedy. So, therefore, never view yourself completely depend upon astrological predictions. Karma does not define your personality. How do you know that? As your willpower increases, you develop a sense of not depending upon karma for defining your life. Your willpower increases or decreases. The more you allow yourself to be constantly staying in a helpless state of mind, from day after day, simply complaining about others, waiting for weather to change. In other words, how do you think the mentation that works in a profound way in shaping your destiny? Without going into too much detail, first let me give you the outline. So, as prarabdha karma begins to operate, your willpower, your purushartha, works upon your prarabdha, as I have already explained, at the same time creates new karmas. The new karma that you are creating is called kriyaman karma. Another term is used, agami karma. The karma that will shape your future. This continues with every individual. So, sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, kriyaman karma, they continue from life to life. And there is no end to it. Mathematically, it's in infinite measure. You cannot exhaust it. You go on creating it, and the new karma you have created, the fruits of karma, some fruits will come right in this life. Some fruits of your present karma will wait for next embodiment. Why? There is a whole science behind it. Because many karmas are lined up, they are waiting in line. And depending upon the state of your willpower, if your willpower is strong, you allow the negative karma to wait longer and let the positive karma from the past come forward. So that happens. And the new karma that you have created, that's what I'm saying, part you are experiencing in this life and part of it coming in coming embodiments. Some karma may be worked out in next embodiment. Some of your karma may need many more embodiments. So that these 3 points go on endlessly in every individual. Sanchita, Prarabdha, Kriyamana. In the case of a sage, now a big change has occurred. His Sanchita has become negated. Consider Sanchita is a collection of film negatives. It's old style filming. Once the film negative faces light, it's finished. It won't operate. So once light of wisdom has illumined your chitta, the unconscious, all the sanchita karmas burn up. They become negated, effaced. But your prarabdha, as long as you are living, your prarabdha that is already in motion, that continues without creating new karmas. And kriyaman karma that sage is doing, that will not create new karmas. They are only like flower wafting fragrance. The new karmas he is creating, behind that, a sage does not have the illusion, I am the doer. He has no expectation behind it. So when karma is done without doership, enjoyership, then that karma will not bring any result. It will not limit your soul. So now then, coming to prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma that a sage experiences, or anybody, it operates in 3 ways. Swecha prarabdha, aniccha prarabdha, parecha prarabdha. Prarabdha karmas brings situations that you desire, that you want, that you are in harmony with. Things become wonderful. But that type of experience called swecha, you are in harmony with your will. Your will in the conscious state dealing with the world. Certain situations will arise that call anicca. You don't want physical suffering. You don't want to see the world around you suffer by calamities and viruses, etc. All praise, insult, you may be opposed by people who misinterpret your teaching. In other words, many things will happen that is anicca, not in harmony with practical expectations. And then next set called parecha. Parecha means you are as if being led by others to do things. You have no design behind it. So these three ways prarabdha operate in every individual. But they go on operating from life to life. In a sage, these three prarabdha, three ways, operation of prarabdha continues in his as long as he lives. So certain things happen in every ashram. In case of sages, Shankaracharya, Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, things were not always just spring season. They faced all these situations, positive, negative, led by prarabdha. But their attainment has nothing to do with all this. Their attainment is at this core of the heart. Cinema show creates all types of situations. But the core of the heart of the cinema show is the screen. The screen is absolutely untouched. That screen is your I am. Aham Brahmasmi. That Aham Brahmasmi is not touched, not tainted. So whatever his condition, he is ever unaffected by sorrow, pleasure or pain. Outwardly he may appear, but at his deeper level he is untouched, unaffected. Another point have to be understood, that lives of sages become exemplary for the masses. If the life of a sage was just one type, the moment he attained enlightenment, everything was wonderful. He was 95 and he became 18-year-old. If he has to make a trip, he simply flies because he's enlightened. Don't develop that picture of enlightenment. If that is so, who will be inspired by it? Dull-wit minds. Because you don't learn any lesson how to face challenging situations. Section 75. Examples of liberated sages. This section is turning your attention to so many Puranas and Itihasas. And all the descriptions and stories are allegorical stories, not to be taken literally, but they are giving you a message. Just like children are told parables. Your grandfather, Vasistha says, O Rama, performing his duties as a king, King Janaka continued to be free of all mental anxieties because of his spiritual enlightenment. There are lots of stories of Janaka. Gods put him to test, and he was informed that his entire Mithila city is going to be burnt up. I'm not going to the detail of this because they create a whole story and we create a whole drama behind it. And King Janaka stays untouched. He says, all can be burnt up, but I am the same. And so different great personalities are being presented by sage Vasistha. Your grandfather, King Dilipa, ruled his kingdom for a long time as an enlightened sage. King Manu, all these are the line of Raghuvansh, Suryavansh, and I have already given you deeper meaning of Suryavansh. All those who follow the path of Uttarayana, northern path, leading to enlightenment, they all belong to solar race. You came from the sun and you will end up realizing you are the sun. King Manu, King Mandhata, abiding in the world of Patala, netherworld. King Bali performs his duties diligently. Again, all these are Puranic story. King Bali is considered immortal, and he is always there in the Patala world. But just giving you a simple suggestion of the story, how it is King Bali who develops such vanity that he controlled all the worlds. And Lord Vishnu took up the task of humbling him. And Bali had the apparent virtue of being very charitable. Sometimes terrible ego tries to be recognized as terribly virtuous. And Lord Vishnu took advantage of this, his being charitable nature. Lord Vishnu appeared before him in the form of a dwarf. And seeking charity from Bali. And Bali asked, how much, what can I give you? I will give you, because I have taken a pledge to fulfill anyone who asks for anything. And the dwarf says, if that is so, are you sure? Yes. Give me 3 steps, land measured by my 3 steps. And Bali feels insulted. He says, going to ask villages, towns, cities, ask big land, acres of land. Why do you want us? I thought your mind is not so dwarfish. But Vishnu as a dwarf persisted. And then Bali said, all right, given, measure. Now Lord Vishnu measures, becomes a Virat cosmic form, measures the entire Bhur-loka with one step. Bhuvar and Swaraloka with next step. And he said, Bali's third step is still there. Now Bali recognizes. Humility enters his heart. He says, put the third step on my head. Bows down to. So this type of divine stories you find all over the Puranas and Itihasas. It's not to be taken literally, you don't see things that like that. But you receive a moral lesson from this story. So, keeping that in view, many other names are there, and I'm not going into those stories. King Namuchi, though a demon by birth, had attained enlightenment. He maintained his mental placidity even during great wars he had to wage against the gods. King Prahlad, the story of Prahlad is very popular. Hiranyakashipu, very demoniac king, and Prahlad, his son, was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, devotee of God. And Hiranyakashipu realized, when he realized that his son was devotee of God, his demoniac mind wanted to stop his son from being the devotee. He put Prahlad to task in many ways, in the most terrible ways, drowning him in the ocean, being trodden up by elephants, and countless ways he did. Ultimately, his sister Holika, who was immune to fire, held Prahlad in her arms, and the whole tree was burnt up along with Holika and Prahlad, but Holika, that was the plan of the demon Hiranyakashipu, to see Prahlad burnt up, knowing that Holika will not be affected. That was rather Holika's plan. But something amazing happened. Holika was burnt up and Prahlad remained intact. All these subtle meanings we have given to you in previous talks. And you must realize it is that this particular event has gone viral, international, holy days, holy hai, His Holiness, all relate to this type of mystic episode. And that Hiranyakashipu was ultimately killed by divine incarnation, Narasingha, man-lion. Among gods, Brihaspati, preceptor of gods, is ever established in his self. Shukracharya is ever enlightened, but he continues to perform his duty as preceptor of the demon race. several other examples are given, and even in describing Lord Shiva, though he destroys and do amazing things, but he is ever established in absolute self. Narada, Vishwamitra, O Rama, after enlightenment, one is never born again. It is only when the self is not realized that one continues to take on embodiments in this world. This is the highlight of attaining self-realization. One is not born again, reminding you of the statement made by Kunti in Srimad Bhagavat Puran. She seeks the boon from Krishna. Krishna came to her after Yudhishthira became king, that now all troubles have ended and I am departing to Dwaraka, Krishna said. And Kunti gave a special response to him. Vipadah santu nah shashvat tatra jagad guru bhavato darshanam yat syat apunar bhava darshanam. O Krishna, you constantly sent troubles to me, and that made me come to you closer and closer. O Guru of the whole world, don't stop doing that. Continue doing that so that apunarbhava darshanam, I will not see the cycle of birth and death anymore. Termination of the cycle of birth and death. That is the goal. And that's all the best prayers are directed towards that goal. And often happy situations don't lead one to prayer. Adverse situations allow you to come to prayer. And if you have come to the grip of prayer, that becomes a great opportunity, a great privilege for you to move towards ending up the real virus. Death, cycle of birth and death. Cycle of birth and death is real. Bhaya ras. Bhaya is fear. And you are dominated by fear in every embodiment. So it is a terrible virus. And big troubles come in your life, they turn your mind ultimately. When you begin to realize all big powers, they can't help it. Ultimately, your heart gives you this suggestion, your mind begins to turn deeper. But that will happen in the case of people who are sattvic. Those who are rajasic, tamasic people, adversity leads them to greater adversity. They do not face the adversity in a right way. Endowed with viveka and vairagya, sages see no difference between a clod of earth and a piece of gold. They are established in equal vision. It's just an example, an allegorical statement for easy understanding. Human mind is always recognizing a great value in gold and go after gold. And this is illustrated in Ramayana. Rama goes after the golden deer. The deer didn't have the gold. Sita would have asked Rama to go after it. I'm joking a little bit. But simple point to understand. All the gold you can have, but you can't be inwardly fulfilled by gold. You can have all the gold, but if you are suffering from a terrible disease, all the gold will do nothing. If that's not enough, after death you are not carrying any penny of that gold, any particle of that gold. So therefore, while living, your mind must not be fascinated. You can utilize objects. In that area, you are perfectly use your practical reality. But in the area of your heart, you shouldn't become so fascinated that I should be wealthy and I should then go on living long and long to see the wealth multiply. All worldly values are just nothing, straw. When the spirit in man becomes absolutely detached from the objects of the world, it enjoys liberation. When you come to that state of internal detachment, things will happen that bring a sense of gain, loss, adversity, prosperity. Things will continue to happen, but you look in your heart and you are not shaken. Look into your eyes, that may be shaken. But in your heart level, you completely enlightened. And so, living daily life, internally you are attached, so attached that just like the sky is detached. Internally you are detached, you are attached to God realization, but completely detached from the world. Like the sky is detached from the clouds, no matter how the clouds appear. O Rama, endowed with serenity, self-control, and other spiritual qualities, you must ascend the ladder of wisdom step by step. Now this Karupa Lakshana were being pointed out to 7 steps called Jnana Bhumikas. Shubhecha, aspiration. The first step to have a clear understanding that your desires will not be fulfilled in the world of time and space. And there is possibility for you for absolute fulfillment. that state, Shubhecha. You have absolute faith, unshaken. Next stage, Vicharana. All these stages don't mean that you have to wait for Shubhecha to complete, then Vicharana to come. These are abstract qualities. You will have certain degree of Shubhecha, certain degree of Vicharana, certain degree of others. And that will continue. But let me give you the stages. First Shubhecha, next Vicharana. Third Tanu Manasi. When impressions of Raga Dvesha collect in your mind, your mind gains a kind of obesity. The more likes, more dislikes, your mind is obese, very fat. But if likes and dislikes become like little wind blowing through on a tree, life will always present situations of likes and dislikes. Shaking a little is perfectly normal, rather healthy. That shaking allows you to be focused on the root. Your root movement becomes firmer by allowing yourself to be flexible. But if you are not flexible, every situation of dislike gives you a slap and creates sore in your cheek. Now you have to heal it. I'm just trying to make up some story behind it. Likes and dislikes are like hits given to you. With profounder spiritual progress based on integral yoga movement, you handle both likes, dislikes, and unshaken by them in different degrees, then that's called Tanu Manasi. Now your mind begins to reduce its obesity. Mind becomes intact. Even in adversity, your mind can think. In prosperity, your mind can still follow the reason. Therefore, then prosperity you will utilize in enriching yourself for spiritual progress. Adversity also will utilize, turning it into austerity. Deep down, you have no grudge against adversity or prosperity. They continue to occur in your life, led by your prarabdha. Fourth step is called Sattvapatti. Sattva in you begins to dominate over your nature. If Sattva does not dominate, then lower self is benefited by Malin Sattva, Sattva that is submissive to Rajas and Tamas. Each time little Sattva develops, and you begin to intensify Rajas and Tamas within yourself. A little Sattva, you are intensifying your egoism, your vanity, your hypocrisy. This point is brought out in the Ramayana through personality of Vibhishana. As long as he was obedient to Ravana and Kumbhakarna, he was playing the role of Malin Sattva, impure Sattva. But when he was kicked by Ravana and he came to Rama, now he began to play a different role. His coming to Rama enabled Rama's project to be completed. Your soul's project is attaining enlightenment. Soul is your potential Rama. Sattva in you must not be subservient to Rajas and Tamas. When that Sattva comes, it's called Sattva Patti. Sattva has come to your soul and has allowed your soul to grow and flourish. All these are attained gradually, progressive movement, but it has to be known these are the steps of wisdom, how sattva dominated mind you have. Next step, asam sakti. You continue to live in the world with facing all practical realities, but you keep your hands absolutely washed. Better still, keep your hands oiled up by devotion. And then handle all gluey things and sticky things. But they will not stick to you. Try it out. So you're living in the world, handling all types of things, and your hand has nothing is sticking in it. Asam Sakti. You are detached. You are not creating karmas. And now come to another stage, Padartha Bhavana. The entire world show or all experience termed as Padartha is a play of matter. The entire play of matter simply disappears. Matter doesn't matter. Never mind, never matter. When you have come to that state, called Padartha Bhavana, there is no world that presents any hurdle for your inner fulfillment. And you are always fulfilled. You are Brahman. It's compared to, for easy understanding, sleep. In deep sleep, all things simply move away. And you are not missing anything. Seventh is Turiya, transcendental, which now all this time we have been describing every step by various palabras. Now all palabras, all words go beyond. You are sunk in the ocean of silence. All melodies has turned into melody of eternity. Figure that out. With this we conclude. And prayer for all the sufferings that virus has brought about, may divine compassion shower the grace of God, may shower karunamaya ras, coronavirus turning into karunamaya ras of God's grace. That may all be not only free from this virus, may all be free of the real virus of death, mortality. Mortality is the real virus. And for that, medicine is these scriptures. Satsanga is your medicine. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.
Are there any questions for Swamiji? Okay, one tiny bit more of tasty prasad from Swamiji's words. Every day you have a choice. You can either keep ducking into the stream of ignorance and move from illusion to illusion, or you can enter the stream of knowledge and recapture your essential identity as the divine self. One who makes the right choice emerges victorious and attains the goal of life, self-realization. And we conclude.
Excellent.